In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace a uPVC door panel using the toe and heel technique. So, the first thing that needs to be pointed out before you start fitting this bottom panel in your uPVC door is how critical it is that you put this panel in correctly. If you fail to put this panel in correctly, then you risk the door starting to sag. So that's because on a traditional uPVC door, there is no strength or not much strength in this frame. We've got our piece of glass at the top and we've got our door panel at the bottom. So in order for this door to be strong, we need this panel to be fitted correctly. And the way we do that is the toe and heel method. So if you look at the bottom here, we've got this little ridge. So in order to overcome that ridge, you're going to need some bridging packers. So we've got our bridging packers here. They sit over the ridge and create this flat surface. Without these packers, your normal glazing packers will rock on this lip. So always make sure you've got some bridging packers. We'll pop a link to the ones I like to use in the description because they're fairly universal and I've found they fit all the types of uPVC door and window frames. So we've got our bridging packers. The next thing we need to be aware of is their position. So in order to toe and heel the door, our door is hinged, viewed from the inside, on the right. So we've got our packers in the bottom right corner, and then we've also got our other two packers in the top left corner. This means that when we put our panel in, all the weight will be directed from the top left corner down to the bottom right corner where the hinges are. This will prevent the door from sagging over time. The packings here in this top left corner, the packings here in our bottom right corner, direct the weight from the handle down to the hinges. So this actually acts as very similar to a brace on a gate. If you imagine a brace on a gate, it'll go from the sort of latch side down to the hinges. So if the door tries to sag down over time, all the weight is directed towards the hinges for support, because there's nothing supporting an open door on the opposite side to the hinges. So that's a quick physics lesson out of the way. Next we'll get back to fitting this panel. So the first thing we need to be aware of before we start fitting our panel is which way round our panel goes. Obviously there are two sides to this, and it's made from some polystyrene, some 2mm plastic with a piece of MDF and then another piece of 2mm plastic. So I always like to put this side with a bit of extra support with our MDF to the outside of the door. That just means if anyone does attempt to kick the door or it takes a knock from the outside, the panel's more rigid on the outside. And then on your interior side that's less likely to get damaged, you put the thin piece of plastic. It can be worth just sticking a little piece of tape on, or whatever you've got lying around, on the inside, just while you work with your panel, so you always know which way round your panel's going to go in the door. So we've got our packers set up here correctly in the toe and heel position. I don't just know which is the toe and which is the heel. I'm presuming that our corner nearest our hinges, you'd call that the heel. And the corner furthest away where the handle is, I guess you'd call that the toe. But the main thing is we've got a diagonal brace going from the outside of our door, or the unsupported side of our door, down to the hinges, which is supported. You don't want your brace to be the opposite way, because that will cause your door to sag over time and then it will stop latching and you'll have nothing but problems. So in order to get the panel to fit just perfectly inside our door, you're going to need a selection of packers. So we've got our green 1mm packers, got our white 3mm packers, our black 2mm packers, and our blue 4mm packers here. So you'll need a selection of packers, and again we'll pop those in our list below just in case you're missing any materials to get your job done. So the first thing we're going to do, because we've had this panel in and out a few times before, is we're going to fit our first packer. So we've got our panel the right way, we've got our packer in this position. You don't want to lose your packer behind the panel, and you don't want the packer to get stuck behind the back of this plastic here and it start trying to peel. You can almost see, start trying to peel that plastic off. So always start your packers at a bit of an angle. I sometimes like to start them at 90 degrees just so that you know your panel's going to sit on the packer neatly. So we'll pop our panel in there, and we also need it wedged firmly at the top. So we're going to slip our packer in there And as you can see, those two little packers are actually holding our panel in place with no further assistance. So we're just going to add some more packing to make sure that that panel is secure. And if we pack it tightly in the top corner and tightly in the bottom corner, it'll create our imaginary diagonal brace to take the weight of the door back to the hinges. So then you want to firmly pack the uPVC door panel into position. We've got some black packers up here in our top corner and our black packer here. If you've left your packer slightly proud like this, which is always the best way to start, you'll then just need to push it under so that it sits flush or slightly behind the panel. So you can give that a push, just get that in there. What I sometimes like to do is use a plywood packer just to help. As you can see, we've managed to push our packer in here. So we've got our pink packer there and a black packer in there, pink and a black. And then we could only manage to fit in here a black packer in this corner. But as you can see, our panel's tight up. So now we've created our imaginary brace across our panel. We've made sure our panel is pushed up to the outside. It's always worth just checking that your panel's pushed up tight. As you can see, we've got our panel fitting neatly around the outside. Next, we're going to start fitting our beads around our door panel. If you check out the video above or to the side, we've shown you how to remove uPVC door panel, so feel free to check that video out. And all we used was the humble putty knife. In order to put the beads back in, all you're going to need is a soft rubber-ended hammer. You can pick one of these up from Screwfix or anywhere. It's only a cheapo hammer, and I sometimes find these a little bit better because they have a nice soft rubber end. So when you knock your beads back in, it won't damage them. So in order to put the beads back in, you need to do it the reverse to how you took them out. So in order to do that, we're going to start with our top bead. So our top bead will just help hold the panel in place. So as you can see, the best thing to do is to show you this little flange here will go into our top groove. So we've got our flange on the back of our bead locating into that top groove. So if you can understand what's going on, it just makes it a little bit easier when you're physically having to do it. So tap our top bead in position. We labelled this as the top, so we know where it's going to go. And then a few taps with the rubber end of our hammer and it will lock the panel into position. So start in the corner, nice firm tap, keep the panel pushed away from you up to the rebate. So I like to always knock my bead in either corner and then I slowly work my way into the middle. Now we've got our top bead, switch to your bottom bead. Again, you want to just get it started and then a couple of firm taps, one in each corner. Tap that bottom bead in either corner. Just want to keep your hammer a little bit of an angle so it's not scratching on the panel, and then just work your way along. You can do this gently if you're a little bit nervous about it, but you will find that these beads can take quite a bit of hammer, no pun intended. And then, so we've got our top and bottom beads in, and you can see with this particular design, these are actually scribed to fit over. So we've got our left bead here. Try and show you this from this angle so you can really see what's going on. We've got our back edge of our bead slots into our groove. There you can really see it going in there. And then slot that in. You'll find that these do line themselves up quite well. And again, you just want to get it started. So just a quick tap. You'll see that joint tighten up and then work your way down to a nice snug bead, and you'll hear it click into position. And then repeat the process on the last bead, and then you've successfully secured your uPVC door panel into place, and you've used the heel and toe method so that the uPVC door won't start to sag over time. The biggest problem I come to on uPVC doors is that the handle side is dropped. So always make sure you wedge your panel on the heel and toe so that the uPVC door doesn't drop. This is really important if you fit in a cat flap or a dog flap. You want to remove the panel and you want to put the panel back in. You always want to make sure that you've used the heel and toe method. It's just like bracing a garden gate. So I hope you found this video useful. We'll pop a link to our packers and all the tools we've used in the description. If you found it helpful, drop us a like. And if you want more useful DIY content, then feel free to subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.